carpenter as well, so I know him from that like other field. And well, we just decided to make a portrait, and he came to my apartment, and I set up my flashlights, and we went from there. And I really like to work with more like this stern. He's not shying away from these types of sort of heavier emotions, and yeah. And yeah, so I'm moving more towards working with people who really like to be in front of the camera, because there's more juice there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's pretty much it. And yeah, I'm amazed that the technical level is above my average.
Okay.
Yeah.
How? Talk a little bit about the lighting and the retouching on it.
So I have to, when I work at home, I have like Elinchrom 200 watt second with light, what do you call them, soft boxes.
Mm-hmm.
And they were pretty close to his face to get this. I was looking for this really, really soft light, almost like a painting. Yeah.
I definitely think that you accomplished that. It definitely has a very painterly feel. I do love that he just has this presence in his expression. I think that when you have your subject make connection with the camera, that they have to have a strong presence and an expression and almost stare right through the viewer in order to accomplish it. So I do think that you did that. It's always hard when we're doing digital because I never know if it's like the screen in the digital or mine, but for me it's a little bit dark in the lower left corner, and I lose his shirt into the background, so I would have liked to have seen just a little bit more separation there.
Yeah.
It definitely has more of a painterly feel, and this image stands out from all the other images that you shared, and I don't know if it's the retouching or what it was specifically about this one, but this I could see being a very definitive style, but I'm not seeing enough of it translating through the rest of your work to go, oh, that's definitely a Lars image, which is what we're after.
Yeah.
So
it was a bit. I was a bit lucky because I didn't plan for this black shirt.
Okay.
And so I'm really sort of finding my way in this quest to find a voice, and this seems to be very much where I want to go.
Okay. So if you're having, as far as the shirt, if you're having that issue in the future, just putting a third light towards the background that's at a lower stop will create that separation, because it'll give you just a little bit of rim light off the shirt and sever it from the background, because it'll lighten it up a little bit. And you can actually get the same thing, like if you were shooting with two soft boxes on either side, just turning it just a little bit and actually moving it so that it comes around to the side, and then just playing with the head position until you get the light. Like, that's the great thing about whether you're working with strobes or hot lamps, like you can see where the light is on the face, so you can still get the really pretty quality of light, but you'll just get a little bit of fall off behind them.
Yeah, I realized that was, you know, the angle of the face was really sensitive for the shadows.
Yeah, and
it was very tiny movements that made it all.
Yeah, it usually is when you're doing it correctly. Like, you have to change them or change the lights every time they move like a fraction of an inch, because it just changes the whole quality. But it is kind of a softer light. You have enough shadows that you pick up all the character in the face. And, you know, I primarily shoot women, and we don't want any wrinkles or any lines at all, but I actually really love it in portraiture with men when you can see all the texture and the lines, and I just think there's something very powerful and masculine about that you really captured flawlessly with all the texture in the skin and the lines, because they're expression lines, and he's definitely expressing. really like the harshest thing about the critique that I have is the black shirt on the black backdrop. We didn't quite nail the light enough to create separation, so he's kind of got a little bit of this floating head thing.
Yeah.
And it redeems itself just a little bit with the collar and the shoulder, so you didn't lose it entirely, which I've seen other people do. But if I were recreating this shot, and you can probably save it in Photoshop and just touch it up a little bit and change, play with the exposure and the lighting and dodge and burn it a little bit.
I think I'm suspecting there is some kind of bug in Lightroom 5 with clipping the shadows. I read about it. So sometimes what I see in Lightroom and what I see on my JPEGs is not always the same.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit sort of, I don't know. So maybe I don't exactly see what other people see. I have a Mac, and so I don't know.
That is entirely possible too, because you're uploading it and then you're screen sharing it, and then it's screen sharing to my screen, which isn't calibrated to your settings too. So it's entirely probable that it looks fine on yours, but from mine that would be the only. I
see now. Well, it is really dark on the left.
Yes. So, but overall, I think this is one of the strongest shots that I've seen you post as to where you are at level 4 right now. So I'm going to give it a 3 for exemplary.
Oh, thank you so much. That's lovely.
Okay, next image.
Next one. This is the same guy, and I actually posted this. I took off one and changed to this one because this is sort of a lucky one. I went to see him doing the Romeo and Juliet in this castle, and well, we didn't have very much time, and he was just running around making poses all over this castle, and then suddenly this silly pose came, and I just liked it very much. And I took down some of the saturation in the background and on the sides to just make the golden robe pop out a bit more. And yeah, it could be better, of course. And there might be a bit too much noise, and it could have been closer, more of a close-up feel, maybe. But, yeah, I like the timing of the picture. That's one thing I was writing. I'm a musician, so timing seems to be something I appreciate in photography.
Yeah, and this definitely looks like it could be for some kind of play that you just got in the moment, like one of the shots that they would use to promote it on like their social mediums and stuff. As far as a portrait on its own, it's okay. I love the texture of the stone, and again, you did a really good job at exposing to get all of the detail of where he is in that thing, and it definitely brings him out because of the hollow. It kind of creates this like visual, natural existing vignette, which I like. He's definitely throwing a lot of expression, but it's more along the lines of a snapshot or an in-action shot than a portrait shot for me. And I think because of the gold and the red, I'm paying more attention to his clothes than I am him, which you should only do if you're shooting for fashion and the focus is on the product or the clothing line. It is a little bit further away. I have the feeling he has a great expression because I can see it radiating throughout his pose. But for me, it's too far away for me to connect with him as a person. Technically, it's very good, and you can see all of the texture on the background and the rocks, and you can see it all in his clothing. But I'm not getting a really good emotional connection with the shot, and that is what really sells your work. When people have an emotional, visceral reaction and connection where they just can't stop looking at the image, that is when you start commanding high-end prices and when they really want your work. And for me, this one just doesn't get it. So it's very technically good, but I feel like it just missed the mark with that something extra that really makes it exceptional. So I'm going to give it a commendable.
Oh, thank you. So Yeah, one thing that I see is when there's time pressure and I just have to fit in somebody else's schedule, then there's not really time to get up close and really work on the expressions, and that's something I struggle with in various places, you know.
Yeah, and that's tough. I totally understand that, but at the same time, like when people come across your work online or in print or galleries or whatever, one, they don't know that, and two, they don't care.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
You know, they really don't. All they do is they see the images. So if you didn't get it, then you don't share it. It's really that simple. And it's tough when you love it and you love it, because we get attached to the experience of creating the shot. So I have images that I really, really love that it just pained me to take out of my portfolio, but they just didn't hit that mark. And for this one, I don't think it quite did.
Okay.
So, next one.
So this is a silly one too. This is my client. I do product shoots for. He's got a web shop and they sell like trimmers for sheep and stuff. And we were just out and we saw this house and I wondered, oh, that's lovely. And it was like a sundown, and okay, I was trying to shoot this, and he started to do these burpee jumps. That's how he keeps fit, you know. So that was just a sort of very lucky shot as well. And I was thinking, should I really include this one? Maybe not. But then there was somebody who actually liked the picture in previous, when I showed it previously. So that's why I kept it in. And yeah, it could have been a lot closer and to have emotional connection with the subject. So, but I like the colors, and I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. So for this one, I think the issue is that the story is not clear. It's, you know, it's well composed and well exposed. I like the barn and the tree and the sky and, you know, the horizon lines. Like it fits together very well with all of the elements, but it's like you just pulled things and put them together without really thinking about what the story was. Like, why is there a grown man doing jumping jacks or burpees, or, you know, like, why, what is going on? Why is he doing this in front of this barn, and why out there? And, you know, like, there's a whole lot of questions that aren't necessarily intriguing me about the photo. They're more just confusing me, and when your viewers are confused, they scroll on to the next thing.
Oh, yeah.
I also think that this photo is kind of just a snapshot, to be honest. You know, there's nothing really, really striking about the way that it was exposed or the retouching on it. It's just kind of there, but it does almost have this like postcard cartoon quality to it, because it is so stark and it is so straight on with the barn that it almost has like a two-dimensional kind of feel to it, with the exception of the person, which I think is very interesting the way it was shot. But I don't understand it, and if I went to your website and this was one of the images, especially with the other ones, I would have a very hard time trying to decipher what it is that you do and offer. Like, why would I need this shot? Why would somebody come looking for you to get this? What is this? What's the sell? And I don't quite understand it. So so visually it's okay. On the artistic value of the message, I think you missed the mark. So I'm gonna give you a 1. I think it shows calmness, but I don't think you quite got it.
All right. Good.
Next one.
This is like maybe 10 years old. This is my niece, and it was an analog camera. I can't remember, but it was like just a SLR with a 50mm, and I was just waiting for her to look up, and that was a really, really lucky one. And the colors are really really weird because there was this huge yellow, what do you call it, like shade outside the panoramic window.
Okay.
There was a very, very strong yellow light. So I struggled a lot to get the colors, but then again, it has this, I don't know, 60s vibe maybe, or some, it's desaturated a bit. And I like it, and I like the the expression, the eye. And I recropped this one because I really wanted to refine the expression. And yeah, maybe I like it just because it's my niece. I don't know.
Yeah,
Totally.
I've had that issue too, where I love the photo a lot more because of who's in it than for the merit of the artistry. She's a beautiful girl, and I dig that she has this kind of shy coyness to her expression, where it's like it's a playful kind of thing, but without being too aggressive about it. I don't necessarily feel that the closer crop is accentuating it, but I also don't know that there would have been anything more to add by pulling further away and adding in more information. I think that the hair over one eye can be very, very sexy for women, but I would have liked if like the two little hairs that go over the eye that you can see were moved over further, just to let you really focus on that. You lost half her nose as well, so you're losing a lot of the features of her face, and because the hair is in it and because of the angle that she's at, it's smushing her face back and not really accentuating her facial features very well. She does have really beautiful lips. The other thing is that because of the angle that you were at, and because I have a feeling that it was more of you catching her in the moment than really posing the shot, you lose a lot of her neck, and even though she has a strong shadow under her chin, her jaw looks a little bit soft. So if you had just taken her and had her pull her jaw out further, and it's this really amazing thing. I'm going to actually take it off the board for a second. So you kind of have her like this, where like her shoulders are up. If you had just had her drop those shoulders and pull her chin out, it just makes a really profound difference from here to here. And it almost feels, I'm sorry.
Is that,
see me now?
Okay, let me, yeah, now I see.
Okay, so if you have people sitting like this, which is how like we normally are, even when they're slender, you just soften the jawline here. Yeah. So whenever you're having somebody pose, until it feels awkward, like they'll stick their neck out and they'll feel like really far, like they're going like this, so they feel awkward and they fight you on it originally. But if you just have them come out just a little bit and down, look at the difference between my jawline and watch. Can you see that?
Is that the Peter Hurley trick?
It's not a Peter Hurley trick. It's not a Sue Brace trick. It's a common knowledge with portraiture that anything that you stretch and elongate will look thinner, and when you compact, it looks bigger. The same way that if I sit with my arm and I press it against my body, like women, especially when you're shooting them topless, they'll curl their arms around themselves to hide. Where if they go like this, they're still implied, but the arm looks thinner than if they're pulling it flat against, because it flattens. You know, so right here it's like the whole length, but if I come across, it instantly, look at the difference. You know, so it's the same kind of thing. You just don't want to have anything compacted. You always want to elongate and drop, especially with the neck. The neck is the most underrated way to make women look thinner and taller and more slender. People always think of the waist, and they're always liquefying, you know, the baby faces and the waistline and the thighs and the arms, but it's the neck. If you can show a neck, as opposed to if I'm sitting right here and I'm talking to you, I'm not changing my body weight, obviously, but just dropping their shoulders makes you look thinner. And then if you come up and out, it makes you look thinner. And then as soon, because when people are skinny, we say, oh, they're all bones. Bones give the illusion of slenderness. So just by changing the structure and adding the décolletage here and getting that definition with the the shoulder blades, it gives the illusion of slenderness. And here with the image of yours, because of the heaviness of the outfit that she's wearing and because of the angle you caught her at, you lost a lot of what could have been really flattering about her with the figure.
Yeah, this is really my niece. I wouldn't at that time. It was really like she's a baby here, or I don't know. Maybe she was 14 or something.
Doesn't matter. If you don't have to shoot her. You don't have to shoot her in a sexual way, but you can still appreciate. Like, you don't have to make it look like a sexy figure, where it's more along the lines of boudoir. You can still accent what's very charming about her and honor the fact that she's female without making it about lust. She can still look really beautiful and feminine. The same way that in our group we have Mackenzie, she's 16. I just did portraits of her. They still accentuate the fact that she's feminine and she is a really lovely figure without crossing that line to where it shouldn't be because she's young.
Oh, yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, but I think that it's a good portrait for where you are right now, and I think you're still... How long have you been shooting?
I got my first camera when I was 10, and I'm 52 now. So, and I did my first course when I was 13, and I did my first prints when I was 13.
Okay.
And it's been on and off. And then, like 20 years ago, I got into it. I thought I was going to be a photographer, and I was assisting a guy here in Gothenburg who was like an artist, a photographer, and he was doing a lot of test shoots for agencies and stuff like that. So I was learning basic, to work with flashlight and make copies, develop and make copies and stuff like that.
But then
it went away, and then it came back a few years ago.
Okay, so but you're not right now. You're not shooting professionally. This isn't what you're doing.
Well, I make a bit money, mostly from product shoots.
Okay.
The thing is that I entered the Arcanum with both the sort of artistic images and the notion of developing product photography, but I don't really enjoy product photography.
Oh, that's very good reason to get rid of it.
Yeah, but the thing, my only client, he thinks I'm really fantastic, and he thinks, oh, I can fix you up with some other product shoots with other clients, and and it allowed me to buy decent gear, so it's good in that sense. But I'm not going to go after it. I have a job now, so I just want to go for develop the style.
If you are, if you have a different job that's unrelated to photography that you're paying the bills with and supporting your lifestyle, and you don't need the money, then definitely do not shoot something that you don't love. You know, it's a waste of time, and I will just repeat this and beat all of you over the head with it. Time is a more valuable currency than money. You do not get any more. You have been given a limited amount. Most of the people in our group and in our house are a third, if not halfway through spending their time already that they have here. Nothing is worth it if you're not happy. So especially, you know, while some people like Six likes both, but, you know, he was saying, like, weddings are his bread and butter, but he loves doing these really artsy kind of things. A lot of people kind of settle for that. If you have another job that's paying, you know, for your lifestyle, and you don't have to worry about making money with your art necessarily, it's always good, but if you don't have to worry about it, then don't spend time unnecessarily on things that you don't like. Just focus on what you do. So if you're really loving portraits, I'm really glad that your 5 images you picked were people and not products, even if the product work is better. That said, I'm going to give this one a 2 for commendable. I think that you're on your way for where you are right now, but I definitely think that when we do your critiques at level 9, that these ones are not going to make par, because I'm looking forward to seeing you really grow in the next couple of levels.
And that's one final 5th. Did you see the final one?
With the saxophone player?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Tell me about it.
Okay, I'll show it like this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this I was hired to do this. I know them both, friends, really good musicians, and we wanted to go for like a club feel, and I brought my stuff to the music college here in Gothenburg, and I used the same flashes with the soft boxes and just kept going until the light was okay. And from maybe 200 frames, this is the best one when he's cracking up. So I like it, and they like it, and it can, of course, be a lot better, the framing and the composition and everything. But somehow, yeah, I'm really beginning to learn. You know, it's really, yeah. I'm exploring uncharted waters here. It's really, I'm really in the beginning of exploring.
I disagree with you. I don't think that it has very far to go with the composition and the lighting. I think it's a beautiful shot. I would have liked to have seen just a little bit more light and separation on the piano guy between him and the background. And again, that might be the computer and the transference, but just a little bit more of a stark separation that takes the back of his jacket away from the fall off.
Oh yeah, okay.
There, but I love the expression and the emotion of the shot. I love that you can see the details of the inside of the piano. Both of them are just giving profound energy to each other and you. They look like they just love being musicians and like they just heard a really funny joke or they're telling you stories about being on the road. I would absolutely see this as a shot for them to promote like concert dates and tours and things. I think it's a beautiful shot. Out of all of the 5 that you have shown, this is my favorite. It gets a 3. I think it's exemplary for where you are right now. And this is one that I could see at level 9 that would still get a decent review.
Okay, wow.
It's very, very good. So whatever you were doing in this one and how you were connecting with them, you may be more of a lifestyle portrait photographer where it's a little more relaxed and a little more genuine rather than posed and, setting up shots. This may be your genre, and I could totally see you working with musicians and actors and performers and, doing more lifestyle shoots because this makes me want to know who they are. They look very approachable. They look very, at home and comfortable with you. So if I was looking for someone to shoot me for new promo materials for, for my photography studio or for whatever it is, family portraiture, anything else where I'm interacting and I want people to feel an emotional connection, you nailed it on this one. Wow. Exemplary. Very well done.
Thank you. So it's like things are moving. It's really I've been on 2 retreats now, so things are really changing.
Okay, let me pause you and do me a favor. Yep. Take it off of the screen share so I can see your handsome face.
Yep. Yep. Can you see me?
And then we can have a conversation. Yep. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So things are really changing. It's like I died and came back.
Good.
In a very good way, and I had this notion of really going to capture that presence of like spiritual teachers and that because I've met many and I really enjoy looking into their eyes and spending time with them, and I really want to portray that and give that, show that to other people. And I've been to 2 retreats and I've been photographing, 3 or 4 of them, and it does not translate. And it's so funny. This is the ultimate illusion, really, photography. So whenever I look and I have this experience of what I've seen, and I put up the camera, it's the same, and I click, and I look at chimp and look at the back, and it's not the same. It's completely different. But it could be used to, like, for instance, if you make up this like this more painterly style, then you can go completely in the fantasy way. It's become more and more obvious that I want to go completely away from trying to capture something that is real.
Okay.
Am I making sense? It's maybe.
Yeah. No. So.
And the funny thing that the other day when I was in Belgium on this retreat, suddenly they wanted to make this Charlie's Angels thing, and they helped. One of the girls, she was a makeup artist, and everything just happened, and we did a quick photo shoot with the speed light on the road there, and yeah, they could be technically more better, but it was so fun to work in that, you know, making fantasy together with a group, and I found myself in this position, really like a conductor. You know, it was so natural for me to do this.
So one of my favorite quotes, Picasso says, "Art is the lie that we use to tell people the truth." And I think that photography is such an interesting medium because you click a shutter and capture a moment as it is. So anybody can be a photographer because that's all it is just freeze framing that specific instance. But not everybody can be a photographic artist, which is what I want everybody in here to be. So if you're looking at these images and you're feeling like they're not quite hitting the mark for you between what you're seeing and what you want to see and what you want to show, some of that is technical expertise, and you know that's why you're here and why you should keep going to retreats and studying under people, because that can all be taught. You know, the lighting and the technical and the exposure and your camera settings and setups and stuff like that, you know, you can teach anyone that. I could teach my 7-year-old that. The eye, some people naturally have it and some don't, but I also don't agree with the mindset that either you have the eye or you don't. The problem is that everybody tries to show you what works instead of explaining why it works. And when you understand why something does or doesn't work, then you start to see it more easily. So even if the eye isn't necessarily, you know, it isn't your native tongue, that doesn't mean that it can't be a second language for you and that you can't perfect it and speak it fluently, which is also why the critiques are so important, because you'll start to look at them, and it's a lot of the reason why I want you guys to critique your work before you hear from me or anybody else, because it's important that you look. You know, it's important that you don't just have somebody go, oh, see this, you should fix this. And then you go, oh, yeah, I want you to look and go, oh, I didn't catch that in camera, but I see that now. Do you agree? And then I go, yes, absolutely, and here's why. Because then the next time that you're there and you're looking, you're going to go, no, 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 that thing, I messed that up last time, I'm going to catch it, and you correct it, and then it just becomes second nature and you build this habit. But the bottom line is that regardless of whether you pick up a camera or a paintbrush or a pencil or, you know, a musical instrument, artists are expressing themselves. So you have something to say, and the thing that makes it unique is how you see it. So what we're trying to do is get what you're seeing and the way that you're seeing and why you see that, which is very much ingrained in who you are as a person, and is why, you know, in level 5, when we start looking at everybody creating something with common threads, I'm so excited to see what you create and how different that is from everybody else, you know, in our house, because it's yours. This is your message. This is the core of who you are. This is your artistry that draws from somewhere in you that nobody else can touch. It's from your soul. There's nothing else, no one else that can replicate that, even if they try to mimic it exactly the same way, because it's genuine from you.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I want you to really start tapping into. So anytime that you have that emotion where you're looking at something and you're going, this, you know, and we went and we did this and we put it together and it was so much fun and I had such a good time, and even though I didn't quite get it, like, it was just such a great experience and I felt artistically fulfilled, hold to that. That is what you should be doing. If product photography doesn't give you that, don't do product photography anymore.
No.
You know, just that's it, you know. And if you want to do it for a little bit of extra cash, that's fine, but you don't put it up anywhere. You don't show it because that's not what you want more people to come to, you know. But I think that you should really be looking at what it is that you do want to do. And if you look at image one and go, I really love that artistic painterly quality, I really want to connect with people, I think that if you could combine, you know, some of the artistic and the more painterly qualities that give you that feeling of fantasy with the emotional potency of image 5, that you would have your brand. That would be you. That would be what makes Lars an artist and would separate you from everybody else that you're connected with and competing with as far as on the artistic side, you know. And that's just really self-discovery. And, you know, as far as the technical aspects and learning that, like, we'll definitely be studying a lot of that in there and understanding why different posing works and doesn't work, and, you know, a lot of the little tips and tricks, but really, like, just hone in on that emotional reaction. Like, if you rewatch this when we're done, listen to the tone of your voice and how it changes when you start talking about the shoot in Belgium, because you just lit on fire as soon as you started talking about that, and you did not have that at all when you said something about product photography.
No.
You know. And that's important, though, because that is the fire of the artist. Like, that is where it starts. That's the embers that you make the flames from. And if you can catch that and start presenting that, then that will start showing up in your images, and it affects the people that look at your work. You know?
Yeah, so I think there's something about make a setup with decent lighting, and there has to be some kind of concept driving the shoot. In the portrait, there's well, he's not afraid of showing his emotions, and there's something there that wants to come out. And also the musician thing there. It's something in the process of, okay, let's decide to do this, and there's effort put into, setting up the lights and really going for it instead of just snap shooting like I've done. There's such a difference in energy, and it seems to translate in the images as well.
Yep. So now that you're able to see that, and that's really important. Like, that's another thing. Like, I don't know what you put into the shot when you created it. All I see is the final image. That's all anybody's seeing. So if you're looking at it and you're having more of an emotional reaction, and you're seeing that the viewers are having more of an emotional reaction to some of the images, and you're looking at it and going, on these ones I actually stopped and took the time to really plan and decide where the lights were going to be, and I crafted this piece of art as opposed to just spectating and capturing it, you know, because that's the difference. That's the difference between the photographer and the photographic artist. The photographer can be a mom that's at the park with her kids and you know, with her iPhone or with a $5,000 camera. It doesn't matter. There are people that shoot what it is and are essentially journalists for life. And then there are the people who take that and they can still get the genuine emotion of it, but they take it and they craft it into something that is so visually intoxicating that the people looking at it can't ignore. So you take it and you take this moment, and it's real and it's genuine, and there's sincerity in the emotion of it and in the connection to it, but then it's amplified. It's just this beautiful interpretation of it. And that's where I think that you need to focus and start being, and just trust in yourself a little bit more.
Yeah.
To put yourself at the helm and be the rudder of your artistic ship, and start really crafting and pushing it to where you want to go instead of standing back. Because with a lot of artists, when they do that and they stand back and they kind of just capture it as it's going, and they go, oh, well, he was doing this thing and I just wanted to catch it. And, you know, I see it a lot in my retreats where photographers are like, they'll talk to the models and they'll be like, oh, well, you know what you're doing, so just go ahead. No, you are creating this. This is yours. This is your interpretation of her and this moment. And when you gain the confidence to start doing that, I think you will see your work start to soar.
Yeah. It's I'm really looking forward to evolving.
Okay. So we have about 20 minutes left. Let's talk a little bit about why the Arcanum and what you're looking to do and where you're looking to take your art. What are your aspirations with this? Because you're investing a lot of time and energy and money, to be here. What are you hoping to get out of it?
One sort of goal that I set up is there is this coffee shop / bookstore where she already said that I can have a show there when I'm ready, and maybe in 6 months or 1 year when I have like a decent selection of images that I can put up. That it should be maybe 10 to 15 images. I suppose. That is one goal, and why I'm holding my. I'm not very social in the way of approaching people, so I want a way to connect with. Once it's established, like, okay, we're going to do this, then it just flows. There's no problem there. It just flows. But to get the idea to go and do it arranged with people and to sell the idea. I'm a terrible salesperson, really. So that's really what holds me back.
Okay. So if this is your first goal and tangibly it's to get into this bookshop / coffee shop and have your work and have a show, what do those images look like? What does a show by Lars encompass? What am I going to see on the walls?
Well, it's definitely going to be people in different situations, and it has to be built on rapport. That is this connection. And I don't know, but I know the musicians. I know the piano player. I've known it for like 20 years, and the actor I've known for 10 years. So in this time, it's maybe easier, but I want to be able to connect quicker with people.
Okay. So the hard thing about gallery shows and books and collections is that the work also has to coincide as a group of images then. So this selection of 10 or 15 images, if they are all stellar, it becomes less relevant if there's not common threads that you can see in them. And it can be anything from the fact that there is red included in every single photograph to the fact that it's a collection of all men, or that they are all actors and musicians, or it can be the retouching style, or it can be that they're all shot with this this really beautiful soft light or really hard light, or but there has to be a visual tie-in that you can put them together and see them side by side. I should be able to put those 15 images in with 100 other photos from everybody in the cohort, and not knowing who they belong to, pull yours out. And with the 5 images that you showed, they're very, very different. Every single one of them. There's nothing that says that's definitely a Lars image, and that is, I think, the hardest part, is that your watermark means nothing if your work doesn't have a style that is its own signature. You shouldn't need to put your name on anything. Everybody should just know it's yours. Yeah. And that's something that I hear a lot about mine that makes me really happy, is that even if I put mine up without my name, people look at it and know it's one of my images. And I've had people that, when the watermarks have been cropped out or people have borrowed them for other things, like, people recognize them and send them to me, even if they haven't seen them before. Like, a lot of my clients don't let me, share my work because they're so intimate. So I have hundreds of photos nobody's ever seen, because there's just that privacy and that trust. And people can see someone post up an image that I haven't shared on my social mediums, and they'll be very territorial and go, "Isn't this one of your photos?" just because of that style. So I would really start focusing on what you think your style is, and I would look at those 5 images and, you know, get yourself a good glass of wine and just sit and look at all of your favorite pictures. And the same way in level 1 when we did the image that defines you, pick the one that you look at and go, this is what I want to be known for as an artist. And then sit there and stare at it until you can start figuring out what it is that you love about it, whether it's the retouching and the painterly quality or the emotional connection to them or the lighting. Like, find out what it is that you love about it, why that one is the one that speaks to you, and then figure out how to translate that into all of your other images that you're going to create and how those images as a whole are going to work as a collection for you to be able to showcase alongside each other on a wall. You know? And once you start visualizing that, then we can start working on the logistics of actually taking, you know, that inspiration and that mindset and materializing that into an actual thing so that you can put this together and display it and then, you know, Google live stream to our cohort so we can all applaud you from everywhere we are in the world and see you do it. Are you looking to go full-time professional with your art, or do you love it for the sake of art?
Of course, that would be fantastic. The thing is that I'm a musician, so that's sort of, yeah. But if I had to choose now, I would probably let music be like a hobby. And music can be very difficult because you're really depending on other people. But photography, it's more like you could do your own thing, and that's why I like it so much. And yeah, it would be fantastic to work, to be able to develop this and to be in demand. But yeah.
Okay, so
it's a bit dreamy at the moment.
It's not. It's not. It's so much easier. It's so much easier to do than people think it is. They get so intimidated when they start considering, and I think I'm just really stubborn, and I'm a little bit too naive to ever realize when something should be out of my reach, and it's the best and the worst thing about me. But it's really not, because really all you have to do, the thing is that people start looking around when they're not familiar in the area that they're in, and they'll look at the surrounding photographers and go, okay, well, I'm going to do these kind of portraits, and here's 3 other photographers in the area that are doing these portraits, so they're charging $300, so I'll charge $300, and at $300, you know, I have to book this many sessions in order to you know, be able to support my lifestyle. And then they start feeling really overwhelmed because they go, well, I don't know if I can do this, and I don't have the quality, and I don't have the business sense, and they start talking themselves out of it, and they get on this merry-go-round of fear where they're like, well, who am I to think that I can do this, and what if nobody calls? And they just spin themselves around until they're just dizzy from it, and then they get intimidated and they sit down and they do nothing. And the reverse is actually the way that you should go around it. So it's very easy if you just look, and you know, usually we start with where you are. So whatever your job is now, it's obviously supporting your life, or you would have a different job or a second job. So look at that, and let's just play with numbers for a bit. So like, how much money do you make a month on your job right now? Just ballpark.
After taxes, maybe 2,000 euros.
Okay. So I'm American and I don't do math, so we're going to change that to dollars, and we'll just say $2,000, 2,000 euros. But same thing. Okay. So if it's 2,000 euros a month and that's what you need to survive, then you just start figuring out how often you want to work, because you know.
I can do less actually.
Okay, well, we'll keep it at that because we'd like you to have some spending money. So 2,000, you know, for me, $2,000, that's one session. But that would be really intimidating, and you can look at it and go, well, I can't make $2,000 because I don't have the rapport, and I don't talk to people as easily, and I don't have the portfolio to value that. Okay, Well, let's go down to 1,000. You're just going to do 2 sessions a month at 1,000. Well, I still don't really feel like I can do that, and I have to work my way up. Okay, let's go down to 4 sessions at 500 apiece. That's still only 1 session a week that you have to book. 4 days out of the month, you have to book your studio. The odds are suddenly way more in your favor, and they continue to go up because people will invest lower amounts because they value the money value and the cost over the quality. So it just depends on the kind of client. So you can go down even further and go, I'm going to do 8 sessions a month, 8 out of 30 days, you know, at $250, or, you know, and keep going down, and then you just decide how much you want to work, and you can build up from that. So for me, when I started, once I actually got started, like my first couple sessions were like $50 or $75, and I thought that I was so well paid at the time. And but when it went up, and I was like, oh, I'm doing really well now. I'm making $250 a session. That's really high in this area. Everybody else is making like $150. And then I went, no, I want to up it even more. I really want that experience with my clients. I want to give them my undivided attention. And on the self-centered levels, I have young children that I want to spend my time with. And I jumped my rates from $250 to $2,500 overnight. And everybody was chattering their teeth and biting their lip for me. And I just realized that at $250 as opposed to $2,500, I only had to book 1 client out of every 10 clients I was booking before to make the same amount of money. So it was just a logistics thing. Like, I only needed 10% of my clientele to still think that I was worth that price. You know, so it's the same kind of thing. But for a lot of people, like, that terrifies them, and they're not willing to jump off a cliff like that as far as their prices. So it'd be very easy for you to go, okay, well, I need to book, you know, I need to make at least 2,000 euros, and if I'm going to charge $100 per session, that's 20 sessions a month. But if that's low end in your area, that's a lot easier because people will go to you for the cost value as well as for the quality of the work. And then when you start having lots of people book you and nobody's saying no, that's a good sign that what you're providing is of a higher value than the money that they're asking to part with. So then maybe instead of charging $100 a session, you go, okay, I'm going to double my rates and charge $200. Then even if you lose half of your client base, you're still making the same money. You're working less and you're making more. So you do that, and say 5 more sessions go by and you book that, and you go, okay, well, that's working. Now I'll jump up to 300, and you just baby step your way up to where you want to be. And then all of a sudden it's 2 years later and you're making $2,000 a session, and you're doing nothing but showing your work everywhere and have plenty of time to do gallery shows and play music and do whatever you love. And all of a sudden you haven't just built your dream career, you've built your dream career to support your dream life and spend your time doing exactly what you want. Yeah?
Yeah. Sounds good.
So I think that you have a very tangible goal, which is really good. So let's start working on that for the next couple of levels. I want you to spend some time really thinking about what you want your gallery show to look like and what you want people to say about it. You know, the people that are coming in, what is it that they're going to love about the images? What is it that they're seeing? What is it that you want them to remark on? What's important to you? And we'll start there, and the next couple of levels really focus on the artistry and the creative things, so you're going to get a chance to create new work. As far as the people connection and you feeling like that's a little bit of a struggle for you, we'll work on that too, and I'll try to brush off on you, because I have gone and found interesting looking people in like the Chinese buffet and stopped and interrupted them during their meal and given them a card because I wanted to photograph them. So but there's a lot of ways to work around that if you're a little bit more introverted. And the bottom line is that once your work really starts shining, you don't have to go to them. They'll come to you.
Yeah.
You know, and then it's much easier when somebody comes to you already seeing the value of what you're doing, because there isn't that fear of rejection. You know, when you go to someone and approach them and go, oh, I'd love to take your photo, and they go, what? You know, that's really hard for a lot of people. I don't have that problem. But you know, if they come to you and they go, oh my God, Lars, I saw your portraits and they're just beautiful and I would really love to be photographed with you, then you go, yeah, I guess I can fit you in. You know, but it opens up the line of communication because then there's no fear for you, which is what a lot of people have to work over. So
yeah. It's always better to work with attraction, the law of attraction, than to chase things.
Yeah, and the funny thing and the difficult thing is that there's probably a lot more people that are attracted to your artistry than you're giving yourself credit for. You just have to work up the gumption to actually initiate contact and approach them. But if that's hard for you as an artist, then instead of working on your people skills where you're feeling, you know, you're feeling out of your element and you're feeling really insecure, then you work on the art and you let the art start the conversation and make the argument for you. You know, because you can just create this beautiful imagery that people can't stop looking at, and then, you know, they'll come to you through that and approach you. So if that makes you feel better and that's what you want, then you start beating on your craft every single day, and your camera never sits for more than 24 hours without you taking pictures. Like, and if it has to be your nieces and your family, then you do that. And if it's strangers in the street, then you do that. Like, you know, and make it like a 1-to-10 ratio so that you're building both. So go to your family and go, I'd really love to photograph you. I'm trying to do this. I'm working for the Arcanum. Jess is going to beat me and take away all my merits if I don't post new work. You know, you have to help me. And let them do that. But say for every 5 or 10 people that you photograph that you know and don't feel out of your comfort zone, you have to actually approach someone. Go for a walk down your street, find someone striking and say, I'm a photographer with the Arcanum, and, you know, I'm taking this master class, and I just think you have a really exquisite look and I would like to photograph you. Is that okay? And what's going to happen? Either they're going to go, oh my God, yeah, absolutely, I'd love to be photographed, and they're going to turn on their duck lips and you're going to tell them not to do it. Or they're going to go, no. And then what really happened there? Here's the really funny thing is everybody's so afraid of rejection and failure, but if you come to me and go, I'd really love to photograph you, and I go, no. Oh, wait. We're in exactly the same spot that we were 15 seconds before you asked me, where you haven't taken my photo. Nothing has changed.
That's true.
You know, so you being brave can only improve your situation. It only furthers your journey. At worst, you stay where you are until you come to the right door that you're supposed to open. So, you know, your personal mantra is courage. Yeah?
Yep.
Good. Questions? Concerns?
Oh, it's been a that was a ride.
I'm sorry, I seem to be wearing all of you out. I'm going to try to go a little bit easier.
No, it was amazing. It was. It's this whole experience is just mind blowing. It's just, and I can't. When I see the other photographers, I can't. Why did you pick my stuff? You know, it's weird, but it's fantastic.
I picked you because of the artist you are, not necessarily because of the artwork. I can teach you how to shoot. I can teach you how to light. I can teach you how to pose. I can teach you how to conduct business. What I can't do is teach you how to be passionate about what you do. You have something in you that out of nearly 3,000 applicants, you got to be chosen as one of the 20, and it was because of who you are, not what you had to show. Because I can't teach that, and I can't create that. That is in you. That is fire. And what I'm looking for is that passion and that center of being and who you are as a person and where your heart and soul reside. Because once we learn how to have the technical and the artistic side open that, all of your expression floods into that, and every single portrait you create will become a self-portrait, and it will have pieces of you, and you will leave yourself in every single print and image you create, and that will be profoundly impactful on anybody that looks at your work. I can teach you all of the other things about how to make a picture. I cannot teach you how to be an artist, and I think that you are an artist at heart, and that is why you were selected.
Wow.
So hold to that, And just know that any of the time that you're struggling or that you're feeling a little bit behind, or like the other photographers are a little more accomplished on that stuff, just keep in mind that that actually says more about you, I think, because if you're new, especially towards the portrait photography, that means that out of everybody else that was competing on talent and ability and experience, that you're still holding rank with them. And that's on a personal level, and that's something that nobody can compete with you on, because nobody else has that. That's you. That's you at a very individual level that nobody else can be. So that should encourage you rather than discourage you.
Wow.
Okay?
So thank you so much.
All right, you're not allowed to cry because I'm making everybody cry. Nobody's going to join my cohort anymore, especially if the guys start crying. The girls are allowed to be wishy-washy. So.
I'm so grateful for this. It's amazing. It's.
I'm glad you said yes. I really was. So I was excited. You know. So we're going to go back, and you've already commented on a bunch, so we're going to level you up to level 5, and then we do the critiques again at 9. And when we do the critiques at 9, I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of images that are worthy of your gallery show.
Wow. Thank you so much.
All right, I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, you too. Bye. Bye.
Bye.